وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. All right. So again, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to episode 3 of Thriving Communities, a 9-point plan, a living document for thriving communities. Again, I greet everyone with the greetings of Assalamu alaikum. My name is Omar Muhammad, and together we've been exploring Imam Warith Deen Mohammed's 9-point plan, which is a framework for building self-determinacy, self-determined direction, spiritually grounded, and thriving communities. And in episode 1, we explored the masjid as a community anchor, specifically tying that community anchoring to developing our masjids as community development corporations. And in our second episode, we discussed how education serves us as an infrastructure. So not just seeing it as a vehicle in which we educate ourselves, our youth, the community, but also view it as an infrastructure that is shaping our minds and molding leadership. And today we will be discussing the critical point in which many communities see tremendous amount of growth, right? And that is becoming economic independent. Which this independence, when we become economically independent, it is an engine for community sustainability. So in the looking back, right, because the way that this podcast is structured, we look at the past to learn from the past. We look at what we're doing currently, and then we project what we can do in the future to improve, right, and continuously to improve. So looking back and honoring our past, Imam Warith Deen Mohammed recognized that faith amid education must be backed by material wealth building or economic vehicle in which to support the building of faith as well as building of our educational infrastructure. He knew that without economic power, the community would remain dependent on outside systems that do not necessarily serve our best interests. Okay, something went on here with my screen.
One moment, Omar,
Okay.
excuse me.
Yes.
We want to play put the disclaimer up. All right, hold on
Okay.
one moment.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely will. Do you need me to read that, Sister Martha?
Yes, sir. Please do. I
Okay.
apologize.
Yes, if you can share that again. Okay, yes. There we go. The content of the American Muslim 360 Broadcasting Network is intended for general information and community service purposes only. Views expressed by hosts or guests are their own and not necessarily the official position of AM 360 or the parent corporation, Community Right Shura Conference Incorporated, or its board of directors. Content is not designed to provide specific or personal medicinal, financial, legal, counseling, or other professional advice. No liability, explicit or implied, share extend to the host, AM 360 or CWSC. We encourage you to consult an advisor for your specific, and I'm pretty sure that means your specific circumstances. Okay. All right, alhamdulillah. So, getting back to this statement around honoring our past so that we can envision what our future perhaps would look like. Again, reminding us that Imam Warith Deen Mohammed recognized that faith and education must be backed by material stability. And he knew that without economic power, without that economic support and vehicle, the community would remain dependent on outside systems that do not necessarily serve our best interests. So to read from his language, right, to sum up this thought that the Imam has around this effort of establishing our economic power. Looking at his language, these are my thoughts that he expressed to us that establishing businesses to make the movement financially stable and independent, make our movement of establishing this way of life, establishing institutions, establishing the necessary processes that are going to make our communities successful. In doing that, and in recognizing what is necessary and needed to accomplish that, we have to establish economic independence, establish businesses that financially support our efforts, support our institutions. This and he expressed this as well, that our business and entrepreneurship stewardship should not be profit driven, right? And more so, he framed this around it is about freedom of ownership, and when we own our own institutions and mechanisms to make decisions that support our way of life, that means for us that we can have robust institutions, we can create economic opportunities for others, not only for ourselves, but for others. And specifically, this is what Imam Muhammad said about business development becoming more financial independent. That business is a form of community service. So getting back to this idea of the Imam saying that when we establish businesses and when we establish these financial institutions in our community, that it should not just be profit driven, but this concept and idea around establishing freedom of choices, freedom to make decisions, freedom to support the institutions that matters to us. So Imam Muhammad said that business is a form of community service. We should do business not to exploit, but to uplift. Right. So this statement that the Imam made supports this idea around that our business should not be established just to drive profit, but to be a service to the community, to establish those institutions that are going to support our way of life. So in the second part of this presentation, I want to look at our present, right? And again, these are from my observations. There are other, observations that are out there that can meaningfully contribute to this conversation. And again, I want to stress the point in the fact that there are efforts in our community to do exactly this, right? To establish these economic vehicles in which to support our community. but recognizing that yes, we do have pockets where this is successful. We do have pockets where there are initiatives to get this going and started, but we do have voids. We do have areas in this space of developing economic independence where we still need to work, where we still need to build foundations in order for this to be fully realized. And today, inshallah, I hope that my interpretation of Imam Muhammad's vision through his language, right, through his language, will inspire us to begin to look at economic development not only as a wealth building tool, but again, right? And I'm coming from a lens of an urban planner, a community planner. I'm coming from that lens when I'm researching the Imam's language around these 9 points that the Imam said will help us build model communities. So I'm coming from that lens. So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking in the language of infrastructure, building out infrastructures, building out systems that allow us to be free, not only in our intellect, but free in our ability to establish the communities, the model community that Imam painted a picture for us. So we have to think about economic development also as an infrastructure that allow us to access the resources that are required for us to build out the infrastructure in the system that we are describing here today. With communities, right? And I think we see this throughout low wealth communities, communities that lack infrastructure, communities that struggle to establish every aspect of life, developing life. We see this as a underpinning of the challenges that those communities face. And it is a lack of ownership of property, ownership of markets, right? Even if it's a market share, the lack of ownership of production, of media, and other channels in which we can communicate our messages, communicate to the world who we are as an African American community that follows the leadership and the guidance of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed. And when I say we follow the leadership and the guidance of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, intuitive to that is that we're following the guidance that is outlined in the Quran and outlined in the life example of Prophet Muhammad. Because when I read the Imam's commentary or listen to any of his lectures, I am hearing the Quran. I am seeing the life example of Prophet Muhammad. So knowing that, right? Knowing that the fundamental challenge in our community, that underpinning, is our lack of ownership. And when we do not have ownership of processes and structure and systems and that are necessary for building that really are building blocks for our community development, we lose control. We do not have control over our own destiny. So we're saying that we are charting a path and we have this vision that we must have greater control over those mechanisms, those systems, those institutions that are required for us to build model communities. But when we own our businesses, our real estate, right, our institutions, this ownership creates an economic ecosystem that supports our schools, our housing programs, our social programs, our masjids. It becomes an economic ecosystem that supports those institutions that are vital to building community life. And Imam Muhammad envisioned that. He had this vision for us of us being able to establish small halal businesses in our community, bakeries, grocery stores, schools, publications, all working together to keep the money circulating inside our community. This is inherent upon us all when we say that we want to establish a model community that is built on the foundations of sound Islamic principles. So, reading from the Quran, right, giving us some grounding in the Quran, some foundation in the Quran. Allah tells us, and Allah has made business lawful for us. So you can find that in Surah Baqarah, specifically Surah 2, ayahs 275. This whole ayat speaks about business, that he made business lawful for us. So this verse, Imam Muhammad has taught us, affirms that enterprises, business development, when rooted in the Quran, when rooted in justice and honesty, is not only permissible, but it is required. It is required establishment for us to establish in our community development life. So, from an urban planning perspective, how we can link this in to urban planning specific language, right? Because that's all urban planning is. Let me set the stage of what what an urban planner does. An urban planner sets a vision for a community, an area, and they work and they establish structure. That could be policies, it could be regulations, it could be a structure. They set out partnerships, right? They seek those partnerships and they make those linkage between the structure and the partnerships so that that vision is realized. Right? That's all a planner does. And they set the different processes in place to ensure that that happens in a systematic, logical way that is sustainable, that is supportive. So, from this urban planning lens, right, when you think about economics, you also must think about the resilience of economic development. When neighborhoods have local ownership, local jobs, local capital, right? Funding that cycles through the community. It's the difference between becoming a consumer of someone else's system or designing your own system. And when we have control of designing our own system, right? Those systems support our way of life. It doesn't contradict that way of life. It supports it. But we have to have ownership of those systems and those mechanisms that drive our economic resilience. Not only our economic resilience, but our economic independence, right? So that we're not dependent on those outside systems that can lead to corruption, that can lead to other destructive mechanisms that are built into those structures. I see your hand, brother Kareem. And I just want to stress to us and express to us this piece around our economic ecosystem, right? That infrastructure that we're building around our economics must be rooted in the Quran and highlights the example that Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam laid out for us. That structure. Yes, brother Kareem.
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum to
Wa alaikum
everyone.
assalam.
Praise be to Allah. You know, all matters are judged by intention. And I remember Imam Muhammad has visited Atlanta some years back, and he expressed the the accumulation of businesses in Atlanta.
Mm,
He said, but your businesses are not Islamic.
mm,
His explanation was that they are not established to fund Islamic life.
mm,
So to go into business just for myself, that's small. Or just to secure my one family, that's small. He also shared with us the bigger the purpose, the greater the effort.
mm.
The purpose has to be large, and the greater the effort. The greater the effort, the greater the reward.
Mhm.
So from what I'm hearing from him and you, is that our purpose has to be beyond just making personal money. The purpose has to be larger than if the purpose is large, then your efforts will be maximum.
Mhm.
And from the the effort, that brings about a greater reward. So I
Mhm.
thank you for sharing with us uh, uh, community development. But the purpose has to be stated and it has to be intended.
That's
Intended.
right.
What is your intention? Is
That's
it
right.
just to feed yourself and your family? Guess what? That business will remain small because the purpose is small. The efforts will be small and the rewards will be small, just enough to feed yourself and your family. But if the purpose is large, if it is to establish institutions, now there's a greater purpose and the efforts will be maximum. The efforts will be large and
Yes,
the
sir.
rewards will be large because the intent is fund, to fund and establish institutions that enhance our life. I thank you, my brother. Praise be to Allah for you and
Alhamdulillah.
continue your excellent work, my brother. Assalamu.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, sir, brother Kareem. And to build off of what you're saying, just to elaborate a little bit more, we must be where we live, right? That means turning our neighborhoods, right? Turning our communities where our masjids are located, turning those communities into engines of prosperity, right? Engines of prosperity. Not waiting for investments to come to us, because a lot of times we just wait and hope and dream of something dropping in our lap, right? Into our laps, and we lose out on opportunities that are right there in front of us. If only we have a vision and we can see it, right?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of times, right? That's why in this in this podcast, we're stressing so much around as first establishing a vision
Yes.
of what you want your community to look like. Then once you establish that vision, start looking, doing a you could do a needs assessment. You could do, they call it all different types of things. Gap analysis, logic model. You can SWOT analysis. You can call it whatever you want to. But once you get that vision, you have to do some type of analysis around what do I have, what I do not have, what can I bring to the table, right, to fill that gap of what I between what I have and what I do not have to get me to that vision, right? To get me to that vision. And in order to do that, the Imam stressed this a lot, that it just can't be the Muslim community. It just can't be the African American community. We have to work in partnership with other like-minded folk that have similar, similar vision, that can buy into what it is that the model community life that we want to establish, and we work towards it together, right? Because when we work towards it together, everyone rise, everyone can become, can walk into their full potential. Okay, I'm gonna stop elaboration there. Then, brother Michael, I see your hands up, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad, and to the audience. Yes, in the early part of Imam Muhammad's leadership, he invited the businessmen and women to make the Quran their business partner.
Mm,
And in reading the Quran, we see the obligation to be productive. In reading the Quran, we see the obligation on the membership to support business, not just any kind of business, but that
right.
type of business that is in pursuit and in recognition of their obligation as in establishing the institutional, uh, I'll say, business life.
That's right.
2000, in the early 2000s, Imam Muhammad gave us a broader vision of our way of life, al-Islam, by saying that zakat is the Muslim economic system. And I think I'm sharing this with the right person now.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it out there, and I've privately asked certain individuals that I know, but that wasn't their particular focus. But to understand how to translate the the system of zakat in terms of who who is uh, able to get the zakat, and to take the focus beyond fish fries and bake
Mm,
sales to see the system that you're talking about. And the Imam also shared with us that what you're saying, but in these terms, Islamic socialism.
mm.
That we're not looking for the capitalistic. Uh, I'm losing the language because I'm trying to be expeditious. Uh, the money motive
Mm,
is not the motive for the Muslim business. And I'll give an example. In 1977, I moved to Atlanta, and I was a regular patron of a brother Shamsuddin. I can't think of the name of the market, but it was a fish market where you could get fresh fish and even have it prepared for you right there. Um, Brother Shamsuddin uh, and a few others were aware of the need to support the community life. When a function was needed to be financed, they were there. And Brother Shamsuddin in particular, I was imam in Noonan, Georgia, which is about 45 minutes down the road. Brother Shamsuddin left his business and came out to Noonan, Georgia to do dawah in
mm.
that little small community of Noonan, Georgia. And he saw one of our members there, a sister who had several daughters, and oh, you be good for my brother, who's a barber, and he told Brother Clarence, the barber, about this sister. I'm on my way, Miss Deb. Clarence married the sister, and those 3 or 4 daughters moved to Atlanta, and the sister has been serving the Atlanta community life by, her study of the Quran and teaching the Quran. So I just want to share that as an
Yes, sir.
example, and I appreciate what you're doing. And we really need to look at the obligation for
That's right.
production and the obligation for, and one other a verse from the Quran where the naysayers ask, well, why didn't the people that we respect get this Quran, Muhammad? And Allah revealed in a very rubber meet the road example. Allah revealed to the prophet, have you not seen those who are not only able to produce for themselves, but they're able to produce to where they can make jobs for others.
Mm,
This is, we have other examples. Seek with the
mm,
means are made available to you, the afterlife. But don't forget, you, every common man and woman has a share, a
mm.
material share. So the Quran, if we partner with this language and these narratives, we're going to be successful. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Brother Michael. 100% agree that we have to think differently about our economics, right? And developing the internal infrastructure. And I think the Imam set perfect examples for us, right? Co-ops, partnerships, going, trusting each other, right? Trusting each other so we can so we can do business with each other, and building these cooperatives. I think the Imam set the model for us. If we follow right what is in the Quran, the life example of Prophet Muhammad, and the language that Imam Muhammad has shared with us, we can't lose. We can establish these model communities. And one of the things that the Imam showed us early on in his leadership was establishing cooperatives, coming together, pooling your resources, whatever those resources are, pooling those resources together so that you can establish an institution that can support the community life, right? And it was not necessarily profit driven, right? That is a profit is a secondary. It should be in our mind, right? A secondary byproduct of our work. But the primary work is to establish these institutions, economic institutions, so that we have freedom, we have ownership, we have liberty to be able to make choices and determine our destiny. Without that kind of control, we're dependent on other systems that don't have our best interests in mind, not at all. And in fact, if you participate in many of these systems, it will corrupt you. It will lead to your destruction. So the Imam was trying to get us to concentrate on why we need to establish businesses, to be of service to the community. And then, of course, secondary to that, of course, you will have the ability to take care of your family, take care of other obligations that you have. Yes. But primarily, establish this so you can support the community. Build this model community life. That is the primary purpose of building a business, is to be of a service to others. Sister Martha, I see your hands up.
Yes, and quickly, everything that's been said, thank a lot for you. Again, Martha and I are calling from St. Petersburg, Florida. I want to inject one important thing that uh, was pointed out to us as a group here in Tampa Bay Area Muslim Association, when we began to even discuss CDCs or community development corporations. Praise be to Allah, I'm going to let you get to it because I know in the urban planning, one component is our emotional self.
Mm,
They took time to take us away from the arena of where we were and put us into a hotel room and did nothing but stress on our emotional self because they realized you get to a certain point where your strengths are there, but fear is dead deep embedded into the psyche so that you will not emotionally stand up. You'll refer to the history, the past, but to really get into the implementation and allow himself to develop mentally, spiritually, then you can see the model and you can design that model and then you can follow the process for it. I'll stop right there. Thank you so
yeah,
very much.
yes, Sister Martha. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. One concept that I was introduced to was called emotional intelligence or emotional IQ, and that's a theory, right? A theory of practice. And when the person was introducing this concept to me, uh, I was kind of skeptical of it, right? I was very skeptical of it. One, because emotional intelligence teaches you that you should be looking for the positives and negatives, right? A negative situation, circumstance, condition, and you look for the positive. Always look for the positive. And I was at the time I was a executive director for a nonprofit working towards trying to uh, establish processes and infrastructure and systems to revitalize low wealth seven low wealth communities in the city of North Charleston. And watching those communities, working in those communities, working with those residents every day, you will see the challenges that they were faced with every day that they had to overcome. The poverty, the built environment challenges. And I think I'm painting a picture here. I'm talking about extreme poverty conditions, right? And this person is telling me in order for you to approach a logical approach to these challenges, you must see the positive in those types of negatives, right? Those types of challenges. And I just couldn't see it. I could not process it while that person was talking to me. But I went back to my hotel because it was the training. I went back to the hotel room and I started looking over the material and start reading it. And I said, oh man, this makes sense, right? We get caught up in our emotions. We get caught up in the challenges. We get caught up in seeing the negatives around us. So we see no way, we see no positive in it. None whatsoever. That's basically what I came to. I took this concept, right, to a challenge that I was facing with in that community. Right. It's called positive emotional inquiry. And I I saw a tremendous way that I was able to approach challenges going forward. From that day forward, I started practicing that. And I have seen a tremendous way that people accept suggestions and recommendations that you present to them. For example, we were having a conversation with a community about building a local grocery store. They wanted a local grocery store in their communities. And I think everyone understands about the narrow profit margins around grocery stores, right? That drives a lot of where grocery stores will come, where they will not come, right? So this community wanted to establish their own local grocery store that was community supported, community driven. And one of the things that they said that they want in there, because this this expert that they had at the table was saying that the profit margins were so small on the food and other things that the grocery store would carry, you would need some bigger drivers of income, which this person was saying alcohol, cigarettes, and lottery. Right? This was the three things they were pushing to them: alcohol, cigarettes, and lottery. And I told the community, if I was going to be involved, if you want my involvement, I could not consciously work on a project where you're going to be selling alcohol, cigarettes, and lottery in the very community that suffers from those vices. And I said, if you want to build up the community and build the economic driver in this community, you're going to have to eliminate those underpinnings, right? That drives a lot of the mental health challenges in your community, the disparities in healthy outcomes in your community, the economic downfall of your community. And these three things are the root causes to a lot of the social and economic conditions that are in the low wealth communities: alcohol, cigarettes, and lottery. And I told them I could not participate. I would not participate in helping to establish a grocery store on those bases. And I gave them justification on I told them these are the underpinnings of the challenges that you see in your community socially. And they all agreed, yes, these are the major vices that drives a lot of the people sitting on the corners, drinking under the trees, smoking cigarettes, drinking the alcohol, and buying the lottery tickets, right? Where they are not using those funds in their household. So they decided that they were not going to have those three things as part of their grocery store. So these are ways, right, where we as Muslim, when we're in the community, right, being service of community, we don't have to tell them I'm Muslim and I can't support that. You just give them the justification on why these things are not productive for a community that is looking to economically establish themselves. It may quickly get you there, but it's not going to sustain you. Those types of economic drivers, right? And I think one of the brothers said it earlier. We must be intentional about the reason why we are establishing these ecosystems in our community. They must be intentional, and they must be the main drivers of our community. Yes, Sister Amira.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I'm just loving this conversation, brother. I tuned in a little late, but what I
Yes,
heard
ma'am.
would get me motivated. And I've tried several different times to do business, and you have to be diligent in crossing your T's and dotting your I's. And one of the things I've realized is staying focused. Once Allah bless you with an insight and a vision, and not to be distracted by outside influences. So sometimes, as they said, the grass will look green on the other side, and we'll lose what we intentionally plan to do as far as striving and being successful. So focus and not being distracted by other things, and keeping our, as they say, keeping our eyes on the prize. How important it is in order for us to be one of the ways we can be successful. I just wanted
Yes,
to share
ma'am.
that.
Yes, ma'am. That is so true about staying focused, right? Having a vision, staying focused, and having a written plan, right? A written plan. Not saying that that plan is written in stone. It is not. It is going to change. It is going to be modified as you go along. You learn new things. You face new challenges and learn from those challenges. But I see a lot of our failures happen because we just don't have a plan. We may have a vision for it, but we make no effort to sit down and plan for the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And we fail because we just don't plan for these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other reason why I think that we fail, and this is generally in the African American community, we don't have conversations around how money works, how economics truly works. These conversations seem to be a taboo in our families, in our community. Discussions around money, discussions around budget, discussions around finances, discussion around business development. We just don't have those conversations. And that needs to change in our community. We need to have those conversations. We need to have networks, right, of individuals that we can tap into when we have a challenge and say, I am facing this and I just don't know how to overcome it. Have you experienced similar challenges, and how did you overcome it? Right. So we need a diverse group, network around ourselves that has diverse experiences that can help us develop, not only the community life, but develop our family life, right? And so important to this is having those pioneers, those seasoned individuals in our community. I like to call them seasoned individuals, right? Because these individuals, these people have lived life and they can offer a lot of insight into things that we may not be perceiving at the time, we may not be seeing, right? And it's so important that we build those networks and those support systems, and share the knowledge, right? Share the knowledge. Get like I tell people, get this information out your head, get it on paper. Get it on paper. Get it in a book. Get it in a workbook. Get it in something where it can be distributed and shared broadly and wide. And we will see success, right? And we do have models. We do have models out there that are economic drivers in our community, establishing businesses and doing very well. And we need to, we need to uh, learn from these brothers and sisters that have been able to establish themselves and have success, and to share their journey from beginning to end. And all of it is not pretty. You're going to fail, but through that failure, right, it is success. We learn a lot. I heard a person tell me one time, uh, your greatest lessons in life will be through your failures. One, because it's painful and you don't want it to happen again. So you're going to learn whatever lesson you're going to pull from that failure. You're going to learn that so you can avoid that in the future. And that is, that for me, I think economic development in our community is one of the areas that we need to have more conversations around at the local level, regional, and national level. That our masjids, right? We already have had conversations around our masjids being anchors in our communities. And part of the anchor is that the masjid needs to facilitate this economic vehicle in our community. I'm just going to, I see that it's 8:48, and I just want to wrap up and close out the section, then open back up for any additional comments or questions. But we always end our podcast with action steps. What can we do in the next week, next 30 days, to start thinking about what we are presenting in this podcast and taking action on it? So I am suggesting 3 ways that we can activate some motion, some work this week. This week, we can support a Muslim-owned or local Black-owned business this week. We can support the Muslim Journal, right? We all should have subscriptions to the Muslim Journal. I know I get the e-subscription to the Muslim Journal, right? But we all should be supporting the Muslim Journal. So this week alone, if we don't have a Muslim Journal subscription, we need to take out a Muslim Journal subscription. That is one of the institutions in our community. 2, Imam Adam Bia has a campaign out that supports the Claire Muhammad and Imam Warith Deen Mohammed schools in our community. We need to donate to that initiative this week so that we support our educational institutions in our community. If you are not doing this in your community or at your masjid or at the community center, we need to organize a financial literacy and entrepreneurship workshop at our masjid. And start with basic 101 information. What do you need to think about to start a business? Start there. Then we can start building all of the other elements that are required to start a business. But we have to start these conversations around financial literacy and entrepreneurship in our community. And the masjid, I think, is a perfect place, particularly when we're describing the masjid as an anchor in the community development in our neighborhood. Start a community, right? I'm getting into the spirit of what the Imam established, co-oping. If we don't have a co-op established in our community, we can start by starting a community buying circle, right? Simply collectively buying those things that the community needs and buying it as a group. So that we purchase these goods and we have the money circulating in our own community. Then we can start taking the little funds that we're generating from these efforts and investing them into local economic ventures. We have to start somewhere. And these things are not difficult. 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals of like mind, buying circle, find out the collective things that each individual needs, and have a buying circle. And you'll see, right, that these things will begin to build an economic structure, an economic vehicle that supports our local interests. And then you can scale that model to a regional model. You can scale that model to a national model, but start local. Start small. I think the sister hit the nail on the head. Start small with a vision. Put an action plan around that vision, and then activate that action plan. But start small. I agree with you, Brother Michael. This will grow us. We will see a lot of success around this model. Okay, inshallah, I'm going to stop there, and then I'll open up to any additional questions or any additional comments that other folks may have. Yes, Sister Amira.
Assalamu alaikum. Appreciate you, Brother Muhammad. As they said, let this journey begin.
Yes, ma'am.
So how can we get in touch with you? Because you said some things that I would, inshallah, like to help implement, not just personally, but community-wise.
Yes, ma'am. So, yes, ma'am. I will drop my information in the chat. My phone number is 843 693 3911. And my email address is OTM Consulting, the letter E, @gmail.com. And I'm going to drop it in chat as well. But it's there in chat. And Sister Amira.
Yes, sir.
Future episodes, we are going to talk about strategies in which we can start implementing. The first 9 episodes is just to introduce the topic.
Introduction,
right?
Okay.
And then we will start getting into how do we realize our masjid becoming an anchor, our education systems as institutions and as infrastructure for community development, our economics, right, as a driver for community development. We will get into some of the strategies and specific details around how we can approach it and begin to establish these things.
Yes, sir.
Because I think that is the missing piece, right? Sometimes we have these conversations, but we're not talking about the ingredients. I like to call them ingredients.
I was going to use
the
that word.
Ingredients that are needed to bake the cake.
Yes, sir. I was thinking of the exact word, ingredients. Yes, sir. Okay.
Right. So future episodes are going to talk about these required elements that we're going to need, the strategies, thinking about how do we envision
Mm-hmm.
our masjids?
Mm-hmm.
How do we then take that vision and translate that into an action plan?
Yes,
And
sir.
then how do we build infrastructure to implement that action plan? So these are future episodes that will be coming up. Yes, yes, sir, brother Michael.
Yes, alhamdulillah. We're on our way, and this is not dependent upon numbers. It's dependent on us, the muscle of consistency. When we start, if we can just maintain, a small committed group,
Mm,
we will get there.
yes, sir.
Allah tells us, look, He encourages those that have the stamina. He said, if the way was short, and without difficulty, and I'm paraphrasing, more people would be on the path. But this
That's
is a
right.
trailblazing path. It's not for the weak.
That's right. That's
Thank you.
right, brother Michael. You are absolutely correct. And
But you
we
know what?
have to. Yes, ma'am. Who?
I was gonna
Yes,
say,
yes,
when you get up, you pull another one up. It's like you form that chain, and teamwork
yes,
make
ma'am.
dream work. So
That's
sometimes we
that
might
is
not
correct.
all individually have what we need, but if we love for our brother and sister what we love for ourselves, we're gonna try and help them get to where we are, well, where we trying to go. So
Yes,
sometimes we have
ma'am.
to be patient. We have to be patient with each other, you know.
That's yes,
And then
ma'am, Sister
we
Mary.
all, yes, that's the key. Be patient with each other and just help each other. You form that link. You form that
Yes,
link,
ma'am.
and we all
Yes,
come up
ma'am.
together. Something like that.
Yes,
And because,
ma'am.
and because many of us are we're old Negroes but new Muslims. Imam would jibe us. He said, "Look, we don't need everybody." 'Cause
Right.
that that Negro thing that sometimes
Yep. Yep.
we
Yes,
don't need
sir.
everybody. We just need the committed few.
That is correct. I was just about to speak to that when Sister Mira made her statements, and you just made it, hit the head on the nail, that everyone doesn't necessarily need to be involved in the framing work. I'm gonna call it the framing work, right? You get the most informed individuals around
Mm-hmm.
that issue and topic to
Mm-hmm.
have that conversation, and then bring it back to the whole for additional refinement conversation based on the expert, the experts at the table. But
Yes.
everyone in the community is not an expert,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to recognize where we can lend the most help at,
Mm-hmm.
and where we can be supporters. And a good leader, right, a good leader can not only lead but also sit on the floor and support, right? So we need to, and that's a struggle in our community too,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone wants to be an expert and they're just not. And I think that is where we're seeing a lot of challenges in our community. We have a lot of people contributing ideas and suggestions, and they have never worked in that field, right? So
Okay.
if I'm having a workshop at the masjid around business development, I'm gonna go to those folks who have established business, not
Mm-hmm.
someone that is maybe, well, it's not established business person.
It needs to be said because, look, I joined the Nation of Islam in 1969. And we were reminded that we've got showstoppers and foot draggers. You know,
Right.
they have no expertise, but they got a lot to say.
Yes, sir.
We have to
Yes,
be able
sir.
to be willing and able to shut them down
Yes, sir. And
respectfully.
respectfully, and this is not to say that they are not going to have a voice in the process. They will, but establishing the framing of the initiative, you need experts at the table that are experienced and that are well versed in that topic to move that forward to the community so that they have an opportunity to provide their feedback. Right.
Well, I
All
would
right.
say, I concur with what you and Brother Michael was saying, and maybe that's why a lot of times when we attempt to do something, we don't we fail because we don't have, like you said, all the ingredients. So thank you
Yes,
all
ma'am.
for that bit of advice, going forward.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you. Imam
Yeah,
Hamid, I see your hand up.
yeah, I just wanted an excellent presentation this morning. I was
Alhamdulillah.
reading something one of the Muslim brother posted online, and it has a reference to what you shared. And he said his name is John Yahya,
Mm,
Yahya John. He said this is the problem, a difference in orientation. Our imams and masajids have a Western colonial orientation. They believe in charity, think it's right to establish a charity, perform charity, give in charity, become a charity, and that we can change the world through charity. Charity does
mm.
not change the world. It keeps the world the same. Final message given. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions had a business orientation. He established a market. The charitable endowment is attached to a real business.
That's right.
He himself is involved in real estate and international trade. He is giving business advice. Business markets, economies, empires versus charity, hamster wheel, a road to nowhere. Ironically, if you establish a business market, if you can give in charity, give zakat as a masjid, if you have nothing but charity, you become a charity case. The African American Muslim community is a charity case. The orientation must change. To break this curse solution, number one, we all have to engage in economic activity. Number two, create a business, promote our business. Number three, the masjid has to set itself as a market, see itself as a market.
Hmm.
We have to see ourselves as a market, meaning we buy and sell from each other. The
Hmm.
imams and the masajid must change their orientation. Masjids are involved in building marketplaces and encouraging economic activity. So that, you know, adds to what you have shared today. It's another perception on, business markets and models. So praise be to Allah. I just wanted to share that. I sent you the
Alhamdulillah.
email link.
Thank you, Imam Hamid.
Excellent presentation and all the
Alhamdulillah.
comments that were made. We got work to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, sir. You hit the nail on the head. That we have to see our masjids as those anchors, right? That economic vehicle. And I'll be honest with you, we have some in our community that push against the masjid being that economic vehicle, and I think that that has hurt our communities. Uh, we our masjid must be the center. It must be the center in every aspect of our community development life. It must be. And for I never subscribed to the idea that our masjids could not be an economic driver in our community. I never subscribed to that. We must, Imam. Imam Hamid. I'm going to share. Actually, I'm going to share that document that you emailed to me with Sister Amira, so that she can link it into this recording, so that people can have that reference that they can refer to, because I think that that is an excellent a document that we need to not only read, but we need to study, and we need to tease out any of the information that would be useful for us to be able to establish our community life. I think that document will be useful in the future. Yes, Imam Michael.
Yes, I think the imam's logic body is getting more to getting to the experts now and the experienced ones, because the imam told us about economic system, zakat equaling an economic system back in 2001,
Yes, sir.
but it didn't reach the ears of those that knew how to implement it and knew how to parse the language that is expressed in zakat, how to take that to the economic system language. It's just like the body is a representation of a system that takes in, it consumes, the energy produces, the energy production is made there, it has a head. I mean, it's there, but we need business minded people
Yes,
with,
sir.
with the mindset that you have in terms of planning and structuring, uh, I think we're close to being well on our way. And this is not a this is not a sprint. You know,
Right.
this is going to be a journey.
That's correct.
And so you need to get your provisions together.
That's right, sir. Yes, sir. That
Faith,
is correct.
faith at the top of the list. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to close with an announcement about the Muslim Journal. Muslim Journal has a telethon coming up on November the 15th uh, from 11 to 3 p.m. It will be streamed live on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about this particular telethon, visit the Muslim Journal, visit CWSC website for additional information on how to engage that program. I greet my brothers and sisters with Assalamu alaikum, and I'm looking forward to episode 4. Assalamu alaikum.
Like my son.
I'm all like,
Thank you.
You're welcome.